Jnanam Satyam Jnanam Jyotir Aravinda Satyam Jnanam Satyam Jnanam Jyotir Aravinda Satyam Jnanam Satyam Jnanam Jyotir Aravinda Jyotir Aravinda Jyotir Aravinda. So our topic for today is oneness and jealousy, because jealousy is an emotion as old as Mahabharata, isn't it? The whole Mahabharata started in a way because of jealousy, and it's something all of us face at some point or the other. So there's nothing wrong with jealousy, but to be controlled by jealousy is where we go wrong. Being human, all kinds of emotions will flow through us, including jealousy, including fear, including anxiety. But Thich Nhat Hanh, a Buddhist master, told his disciples beautifully that when you're on the path, you will suffer. But if you're my student, I want you to suffer consciously. If you are my students, I don't want you to suffer unconsciously. So Eckhart Tolle says that the light of suffering, when you go through it consciously, it becomes the fire of wisdom. The fire of suffering, if you go through it consciously, it becomes the light of wisdom. The point is, how do we go through it consciously? Okay, without hating ourselves for feeling it because it's normal, without letting it control us so that we hate somebody else. If we go through negative emotions, unconsciously two things happen. We end up disliking ourselves or we end up disliking others. Either dislike is a form of unconsciousness, right? So if you go through it consciously, you weakened its sort of foothold in your karmashaya, the reservoir of karmic imprints in your consciousness, and you grow through it. So jealousy, as we were discussing in the morning class also, is nothing but a form of one fundamental negative emotion, which is fear, right? So every negative emotion, one way or the other, will have its roots in fear, right? Anger is a form of fear because you have to feel inadequate and helpless first before getting angry. If there's something you can do about it, you'll do something rather than get angry, right? So you have to feel inadequate and helpless before you get angry. So anger is a form of fear. Jealousy is of course a form of fear. You're afraid that somebody will get what you want. Helplessness, feeling overwhelmed, all these are different forms of fear. And according to the scriptures, there's just one reason for fear. What could that be? Huh? Lack of security comes why? Why do you feel insecure? Ignorance, lack of faith, ignorance about what? Our true nature, that's it. Our true nature is oneness and love, right? When we are not in touch with this oneness and the field of love, love is really oneness, right? It's feeling one with everything. That Sri Aurobindo, he writes beautifully in Savitri, all love is a yearning of the one for the one. If I love you, it's really the one in me yearning for the one in that. All love is a yearning of the one for the one. So when we moved away from this field of oneness and love, separation is fear. Now Sanskrit is such an intuitive language. In English we say, I'm afraid of the tiger, right? I'm afraid of someone. But in Sanskrit you never say afraid of, you say afraid from. Aham vyagrat bibhaite, at is from. Because Sanskrit recognizes that in order to be afraid, you have to feel separate from something. If you're one with it, you can't feel afraid of it, right? So this separation is the root cause of all fear. If I really believed down to my bones that I'm one with everything because I'm one with God, how could I possibly feel afraid of anything at all? And how could I feel jealous of anyone? There's this beautiful story of Ramakrishna Paramahansa when he had throat cancer, we all know, and towards the latter stages it was very bad. He couldn't eat at all, and all his disciples would tell him that, we all know Ramakrishna had a very close connection with the Divine Mother, not in this form perhaps, but the Divine Mother. And he used to constantly converse with her, see her, etc., the way Mirabai had this thing with Krishna. So the disciples begged him that, please tell the mother to at least let you eat for our sake. We can't bear to see you tortured like this. So Ramakrishna said, okay, if it makes my disciples happy, next time I meet the mother, I'll tell her. Next day when the disciples came, he yelled at them, don't you ever tell me to make requests like this to the mother. Do you know what the mother told me when I told her? So the mother told me that, yeah, I can allow you to eat through this mouth, but I've given you million other mouths to eat from. No, why aren't you content that you're eating through all those million zillion mouths? And for Ramakrishna, that if mother tells us that, we'll say it won't. But Ramakrishna lived in that consciousness where he was really feeling one with. I mean, there's this beautiful story of when a bullock was being beaten and Ramakrishna was going, he got gashes on his back. He had such a oneness with everything that he could feel the bullock so strongly that he got gashes on his back. So for somebody like him, what mother says seems perfectly plausible. I've given you a million mouths to eat from. Be content to eat from them. So if we lived with this consciousness, we would never feel jealous. No, jealousy is extreme separation. I'm not you, so I resent what you have. But if I really, I know it's not easy to feel this oneness, but the Gita also says, Yoya Shraddha Sa Eva Sa, right? Whatever you believe will become your truth. And Sri Aurobindo says that in his integral yoga, a constant thread of reminder should be, everything is God, everything is one. He's saying that can be a theme for your meditation. Just sit and for 10-15 minutes just contemplate this oneness, and it can be a great stride forward. So at least mentally, if I keep reminding myself, that person I'm jealous of, that's also me. That person I'm afraid of, that's also me. That physical condition of the body which scares me so much, that's also God. And God knows how to maneuver the illness. I don't have to be so scared of it. When I feel the illness is separate from God, then it frightens me, isn't it? A condition of my body which I feel is outside the domain of God, then I can feel afraid. But if I say that this is also God, and God knows perfectly how to do, he's the Antaryami, right? From inside he controls everything. Antar, inside, Yami, controller. If he's controlling everything from inside, then why am I afraid? He'll take care of everything. But it's my fear that takes me out of his protection. Mother says that that even if I'm standing next to you and you're full of fear, you close your doors to me, I can't enter. So our fight is never with something outside. Our enemy is the fear that blocks us away from grace. And jealousy and all that are different shades of fear. Okay, so now we read a passage from Savitri.
If someone is jealous of you, how do you take, how do you deal with that?
So,
is that a fear?
yeah, you feel afraid the person will harm you from the jealousy, no? His jealousy will harm you. But there's a beautiful line in Elif Shafak's 40 Rules of Love. Fear not those who manipulate you, because they themselves are being manipulated by the supreme manipulator. So they can't harm you. If you are really with Mother, whatever they do, you'll only use as a stepping stone to rise. So don't take them very seriously. Actually, that's a wonderful thing to remember. When we are jealous of people, we want to take away what they have and we don't have, right? And we try hardest to do that, but mostly we never succeed. So if you understand this, that all this effort to harm the person, and the person is just going on being happy, I'm harming myself. So then you'll realize that my battle is not with the person I'm jealous of, my battle is with my jealousy. That's a more worthwhile battle to fight. So if you see that your jealousy is not really harming the person, however hard you try. Maybe now at this point we've evolved that we don't try, but in school days, when we've been consumed by jealousy and we've tried to harm people who we are jealous of, our life experience will tell us beyond a point we don't really harm them, we harm us. Similarly, if somebody is trying to harm you, the same applies. They won't be able to harm you, they'll just harm themselves. So instead of feeling frightened for them, feel compassion for them, because jealousy is such a horrible emotion to feel. The person who's jealous suffers so much from jealousy, and in a way often so unnecessarily. So just feel compassion for that person instead of fear. So now you can open your PDFs. The first part, it's from Savitri, it's page 398-99. Love is a glory from eternity's sphere. To live, to love are signs of infinite things. So wherever there's a glimmer of genuine love, it's a sign of the infinite intelligence. To live, to love are signs of infinite things. Love is a glory from eternity's spheres. Abased, disfigured, mocked by baser mites that steal his name and shape and ecstasy. So here on earth, love is abased, disfigured, mocked at by baser mites. So jealousy, possessiveness, all these are a mockery of love that human beings deform it to. He is still the Godhead, he means love, is the Godhead by which all can change. Mother has said that love is a vibration straight from the divine, and it's the most powerful force in the world. She says somewhere that I don't use the force of purification as much as the force of transformation and love, because if I were to use the force of purification, it destroys the impurity. But then precious little would be left, because on earth so much needs to be purified. Then I just keep destroying everything. I work by embracing with love, because love is the most powerful transforming force. And all of us who've come to the Mother will notice this, that we may have done the worst things, but when we go to the Mother, she only fills us with love. And in filling us with that love, she transforms the negative things into something positive. So it's not really a poetic thing that the love is the most powerful vibration in the world. It is. If I'm afraid, if I'm jealous, if I have any kind of negativity and I go into my heart and I feel love for the Mother, It's the most powerful way to get out of the negativity, because wherever love comes, transformation happens. And the mother says, to love the divine is to greatly accelerate your progress. And when somebody told her that, but how do we love something we don't know? She said, yes, that's why the divine has come to you in a human body. I've shown you myself so that you can see my face and love. And that's the leverage we have. So whenever you're feeling any negative emotion, if you just withdraw into your heart and you find love for the mother, it's not possible, genuine love, it's not possible that the negative emotion won't diminish. It has to. So, he is still the Godhead. Love is still the Godhead by which all can change. A mystery wakes in our inconscious stuff. So there is that story of the mother, right? She gives a story of creation, and she says it will sound childish to you, so don't take it very literally. It's trying to put into words something that's ineffable, that can't be worded. So to make it clear to you, I have to oversimplify it, but don't take it very literally. So she says at the beginning of creation, there were 4 beings of light: truth, love, light, truth, and what was the 4th? No, death, life, love, truth, and light. Okay, these were the 4 beings that had incarnated, and they manifested creation. But over a period of time, a distortion set in, and each being became egoistic. And it's the similar, in Bible also there's the story of Lucifer, who was God's most powerful angel and then wanted to be greater than God, and then that was his fall. So something like that. And so there was a distortion. Love became darkness, life became death, everything became its opposite. And that's when the Divine Mother, when of course she wasn't in this body, but she was the Divine Mother, she prayed to God that please save my creation. And that's when he sanctioned her to descend as a vibration of love into matter. So mother says, my presence in matter is like yeast in bread. What does yeast do? It makes bread rise, right? So the presence of love in matter is what makes it evolve and climb the evolutionary ladder. So there is that vibration of love involuted in matter, and the whole process of yoga is to make that vibration come out and need matter to rise to more and more conscious forms. So that's what it's saying here. A mystery wakes in our inconscious stuff. The mystery is love, the mother's presence in matter. A bliss is born that can remake our life. Love dwells in us like an unopened flower. In all of us there is love, and it's present inside us. It's present in our very matter like an unopened flower, awaiting a rapid moment of the soul. Or he roams in his charmed sleep mid thoughts and things. The child God is at play. He seeks himself in many hearts and minds and living forms. He lingers for a sign that he can know, and when it comes, wakes blindly to a voice, a look, a touch, the meaning of a face. The child God is at play is the psychic being. The psychic being is often represented as a child, no? So if you get dreams of babies or children, it's like a psychic awakening. So the child God is at play. He seeks himself in many hearts and minds and living forms. So that psychic being in us is seeking through all life experiences. He lingers for a sign that he can know, and when it comes, wakes blindly to a voice. We can all identify with this, right? The voice could be mother's words. A look, a touch, the meaning of a face. For many of us, it's a face which awakens us. So that's what this means. He lingers for a sign that he can know, and when it comes, wakes blindly to a voice, a look, a touch, the meaning of a face. His instrument, the dim corporeal is material mind, of celestial insight, now forgetful grown. Our mind has forgotten our spiritual truth. He seizes, he is man here, seizes on some sign of outward charm. That's what Mother's saying. You can't connect with the ineffable, formless divine. Therefore, I've worn this form and come to you so that you can connect. So he seizes on some sign of outward charm to guide him mid the throng of nature's hints, reads heavenly truths into earth's semblances, desires the image for the Godhead's sake, divines the immortalities of forms, and takes the body for the sculptured soul. Love's adoration, like a mystic seer, through vision looks at the invisible. In earth's alphabets finds a godlike sense. But the mind only thinks, behold the one for whom my life has waited long, unfilled, behold the sudden sovereign of my days. So when we really fall in love with somebody, actually it's this, all love is a yearning of the one for the one. But we don't recognize this. We think this person is some great thing, but we don't recognize that it's the Godhead in this person which is attracting us. Yajnavalkya says, right? Love the husband not for the sake of the husband, but for the sake of the self. The husband is the self. Love the wife not for the sake of the wife, but for the sake of the self. Heart feels for heart, limb cries for answering limb. All strives to enforce the unity all is. Too far from the divine, love seeks his truth. And life is blind and the instruments deceive. And powers are there that labor to debase. Still can the vision come, the joy arrive. Rare is the cup fit for love's nectar wine. Each human being is a cup. And that human being which can really hold the divine love is rare. Rare is the cup fit for love's nectar wine. As rare the vessel that can hold God's birth. A soul made ready through 1,000 years is a living mold of a supreme descent. The cup has to be made ready over many, many years for the supreme descent. Now we come to some words of Rumi. He says, and I believe his Matwani, the cream of his work, begins with this poem, The Reed. Listen to the reed. Reed is a dry twig of wood, right? Listen to the reed, how it tells a tale, complaining of separation, saying, ever since I was parted from the reed bed, my lament has caused man and woman to mourn. So it's a very beautiful thing where each of us is like that reed, and each of us is secretly saying, ever since I've been separated from my bed is my source and my truth, my oneness with God. So ever since I was parted from the reed bed, my lament has caused man and woman to mourn. All suffering is because of separation, isn't it? All suffering is because we've moved away from our source. Further, Rumi says, the stars come up spinning every night, bewildered in love. They'd grow tired with that revolving if they weren't. How long do we have to do this, they would say. God picks up the reed flute world and blows. Each note is a need coming through one of us, a passion, a longing pain. Remember the lips where the wind breath originated, and let your note be clear. Don't try to end it. Be your note. I'll show you how it's enough. Go up on the roof at night in the city of the soul. Let everyone climb on their roofs and sing their notes, sing aloud. It's so beautiful. He's saying the stars are like all of us, right? We all go through our motions. So he's saying stars come up and spin every night through all eternity. We are also eternal, no? This body, then another, thousands of body. In that sense, each one of us is a star spinning. And somewhere secretly we are spinning in love. They'd grow tired with the revolving if they weren't. We would go tired of living if somewhere our life didn't have its roots in love. How long do we have to do this, they would say. God picks up the reed flute world. So each of us is like a reed, Krishna blowing the breath, whatever. God picks up the reed flute world and blows. Each note is a need coming through one of us. Each one of us is here to fulfill some purpose of God. Without exception, through all our pain, all our ups and downs, we are fulfilling His purpose uniquely meant for us. So God picks up the reed flute world and blows. Each note is a need coming through one of us, a passion, a longing pain. Remember the lips where the wind breath originated. That's the source, the player, Krishna. And let your note be clear. So whatever is God's purpose for you, pursue that purpose. Let your note be clear. Don't try to end it. Never give up on life. Never give up on yourself. Be your note. I'll show you how it's enough, Rumi says. Go up on the roof at night. Roof is the summit of your being. Night is darkness. Even when it's dark, rise to your summit. Go up on the roof at night in the city of the soul. So the roof in the city of the soul is the summit of your consciousness, your highest self. Let everyone climb on their roofs and sing their notes. Sing aloud. Don't suppress. Manifest the God that you are. That's what I'm reading the whole poem. Just listen to it. It's very beautiful. The stars come up spinning every night, bewildered in love. They'd grow tired with that revolving if they weren't. How long do we have to do this, they would say. God picks up the reed flute world and blows. Each note is a need coming through one of us, a passion, a longing pain. Remember the lips where the wind breath originated, and let your note be clear. Don't try to end it, be your note. I'll show you how it's enough. Go up on the roof at night in the city of the soul. Let everyone climb on their roofs and sing their notes. Sing aloud. Then Rumi says, close the door of words so that the window of your heart may open. So beautiful. The noise in our head is like a door, right? A door of our prison actually. So he's saying close the door of words so the window of your heart may open. The moon's kiss, the moon represents romance and love. So the moon's kiss only comes through an open window. So when you open the window of your heart, that's what receives the moon's kiss. Close the door of words so that the window of your heart may open. The moon's kiss only comes through an open window. Further, Rumi says, what I want is burning of the heart. Mother and Sri Aurobindo would call this burning of the heart aspiration, right? It's typified by Agni, a fire. What I want is a burning of the heart. It is this burning which is everything, more precious than the world, empire, because it calls God secretly into the night. So that's what Sri Aurobindo says, right? Aspiration is what calls the response. So this burning is more precious than the world empire. Aspiration is more precious than the world empire because it calls God secretly into the night. Night is darkness, whatever. But if you have the aspiration, that paves his footfalls. Then Rumi says, everyone sees the unseen. in proportion to the clarity of his heart. Now this oneness is unseen, right? It's not tangible. Separation is visible, separation is tangible, but oneness isn't visible, it's not seen. So Rumi says everyone sees the unseen in proportion to the clarity of his heart, and that depends on how much he has polished it. However much you polish the heart, that much your heart will be clear and you will see the unseen. Whoever has polished it more sees more. More unseen forms become manifest to him. So every day when we meditate, when we read Mother and Sri Aurobindo, those are different ways in which we are polishing our hearts. Because the more we polish our hearts, the more the invisible becomes visible to us. Whoever has polished it more sees more. More unseen forms become manifest to him. If you are irritated by every rub, how will you be polished? Rumi says. Rub is the pain life sends you. If you get irritated by every rub, how will your heart be polished? So it's okay if you go through pain. Go through it consciously, that's all. Return from existence to non-existence. Existence of the ego, he means. We are existing as an I separated from the rest. So Rumi is saying, return from existence to non-existence. You are seeking the Lord and you belong to him. Non-existence is a place of income, flee it not. Non-existence of the ego is a place of income, don't run away from it. This existence of more or less is a place of expenditure. So the ego always functions by measurement, more and less. I have more, I'm happy. I have less, I'll be unhappy. So the Sufi says when you're on the road to hell, going through emotions of anxiety, jealousy, fear, whatever, cut short that road by reminding yourself you as the ego don't even exist. So this whole jealousy, whatever else is dream, it's not real. The real you is never suffering. So that's what he's saying, return from existence to non-existence. The Eternal looked upon me for a moment with his eye of power and annihilated, destroyed me in his being and became manifest to me in his essence. I saw I existed through him. So that's another very real thing. Whenever you're deeply in love with any form of God that you know, at that time your sense of I will necessarily become thin. Right? You forget yourself because the object of love is all consuming. So the mother says that the road is simple if you follow two things, self-forgetting and self-giving. Give yourself to what you love and forget about yourself. All depression, all fear comes from too much remembering yourself. No, I, me, what will happen to me, where will I go? Forget yourself. That's up to mother to look after. But just keep thinking of her and loving her and give yourself to her. That's a very powerful way to make the ego thinner at least. We are stimulus response mechanisms, not identities. This is again a quote from Sufism. We think we are identities and ego and I, but we are not identities. We are stimulus response mechanisms. Shailaja tells me something, she's the stimulus, I react in a certain way depending on my past. So I am a stimulus response mechanism. If someone has hurt you, if someone has hurt me, this formation has responded to the stimulus that formation is. See how you are arising and follow that seeing like a hound. For example, if hypothetically Shailaja says something hurtful to me, a hurt and angry Anahita will arise. Okay? But that angry Anahita which has arisen isn't real. It's just a thought pattern, it's a mental construct, it's a formation. Do you understand? It's formed from your past, because Shailaja can say the same thing to Ashumi, but Ashumi will react in a completely different way because her past is different. If it's real, the same thing should trigger the same thing everywhere, right? So an I arises as a response to a particular stimulus. It's a mental construct, it's a formation, it's not real. So the Sufi would say, watch how you're arising like a hound. And he says, be a hunter after invisible game. Rumi says, game is like the animal you're hunting is the game. So be a hunter after invisible game. Here the animal you're hunting is your ego. So it's invisible to you, but hunt it, see where it's arising, catch it. Recognize that it's just a play of the ego, it's not real, don't buy into it.
This too is a non-existing, right?
What?
What I've said to you or
Yeah.
to her.
Yeah.
This is also a non-existent.
Exactly. That non-existence is triggering this non-existence. Non-existence of the ego. You and I are Brahman, we are God, we are fully existing as that. But we think we are existing as egos, and that's our fundamental ignorance. Then, Rumi's words, I saw you, he's telling God, I saw you and became empty, empty of myself, empty of the ego. I saw you and became empty. This emptiness, more beautiful than existence. It obliterates existence, and yet when it comes, existence thrives and creates more existence. So beautiful. I saw you and became empty. That's what I was saying, that when we really love the divine, we become empty of ourselves. Now I'm going to share with you a very beautiful story. It's part of a beautiful little booklet called Vedantic Tales. So it's about a burglar called Bakshi, and Bakshi the burglar made his living by robbing people in the forest and often killing them, looting them, and that was his livelihood, and he derived a strange sense of perverse power out of doing this. And at night, when he was a devotee of Shiva at the same time. It's so true what Sri Aurobindo says, that whatever darkness a person has, he has a proportionate light in him. Yeah? So if you have a very strong weakness, you have the potential to go to the opposite spectrum of that weakness into light. That's how balance is maintained in nature. We see this in Angulimal and other stories. No, people who are so violent go to the other end of ahimsa when they turn. So Bakshi perhaps is an example of this. So he used to get a great perverse sense of power in killing people. He used to be repelled by seeing people afraid of him. That fear would make him more angry and want to harm them more. He had all those qualities in him. And one day he saw a monk walking by, and he said that this monk looks like he has a bag and something, I'm going to rob him. So he went with his sword to attack the monk, and his hand got suspended midair. He just couldn't bring his hand down. And for once he started feeling afraid. Normally the person he attacks feels afraid, but he started feeling terribly frightened. And he told the monk, what is going on? Why can't I move my hand? How am I going to live if my hand remains suspended like this? So the monk smiled at him and said, and how would I live if your hand came down? So the moment he said that, the spell was released and his hand actually came down. But now Bakshi is saying something strange. This monk has some strange powers. And he looked at him, and it was a moment of Angulimal and Buddha. He felt a strange change sweeping over him when he saw this monk. And he said, but how do I change? Even if I want to change, I've gone too far down the path. So the monk said, I know you have a great love for Shiva. Monk was an enlightened being, he knew it. So Bakshi says yes. So he gave him a mantra, initiated him into it. And he says, you have to promise me you'll stop killing, you'll beg for food, and day and night you'll chant this mantra. And the monk was leaving. So Bakshi said, wait, by now, of course, he knew this was his guru, he was in love with the man. He said, I've just found you and you're leaving me, when will I see you again? So the monk said, don't worry, when you're ready, I will send for you. So he left. Now years passed, very often that old animal instinct would come in Bakshi. He would see people, he'd really have to hold himself back, but he kept his promise. He never killed, and he would keep repeating this mantra. And 10 years pass, and his guru didn't call for him, and Bakshi kept his word. He was begging, etc. But he was feeling a little dejected. He was thinking, has he forgotten about me? When will I see him again? And then one day in the forest, he saw another dacoit dragging a girl. Now Bakshi was somehow still a very skilled warrior, because that's what his training was. So he attacked the dacoit to save the girl, and he told the girl, run away, and the dacoit was furious, and he and Bakshi had a fight, and Bakshi can't kill the dacoit also, so he tied him up. But he knew that if he left the dacoit would somehow untie himself and get hold of the girl himself. So he had to keep the dacoit with him, like hold him to him. And as his luck would have it, just then his guru sent a disciple to Bakshi and said, the guru had given Bakshi a begging bowl before leaving. And the disciple said, oh, that's my guru's bowl, so you must be Bakshi. The guru has finally called for you. And Bakshi feels his heart sinking, because he can't leave this dacoit, because the dacoit would go to the girl. And he says, taking the dacoit to my guru is taking my past to the guru. I'm going to him with a dacoit with blood soil. He had blood on his hands and all that. And what a way I'll go to my guru. It's like his whole past came back to him. But he says, never mind, if this is it, I'll go taking the dacoit to the guru. So he goes to the guru with the dacoit. Now I'm reading out the last bit of the story as it's written, because it was very beautiful. So he goes to his guru. But once he reaches his guru, suddenly he sees there's no dacoit and there's no disciple. So he says, oh, has the dacoit killed the disciple? What a way I'm reaching my guru. And he feels miserable. And then the guru sees him and says, Bakshi, come my child. Why do you stand there in the dark? Come closer. Bakshi took a step into the moonlight. You found your way here, the holy man exclaimed. Come closer so that I need not shout. Sir, Bakshi said, taking 2 more steps into the clearing. Your disciple led us here. My disciple? Us? Is there then someone else in the shadows? Bakshi looked behind. There was no one. He peered deep into the forest, and a terrible fear clutched his heart. While he had stood transfixed in his own rapture, the dacoit had freed his hands, throttled the young brahmacharin, and escaped. Oh, sir, he cried, sir, your disciple, the dacoit, they are gone. A terrible thing has happened. Saying this, he put his head in his hands and wept. Bakshi's teacher stood up, his body tall and gleaming in the moonlight. Calm yourself, he said with a voice as loving as it was authoritative. Why are you weeping, my child? You brought the dacoit to me. Do you really think I don't know? He has gone now, forever gone. As for my disciple, you are my disciple. There has been no one but you. Come. There is no one but you, he repeated slowly, each word distinct. There is no one but you. You found your own way. hear me, come. His teacher's words finally penetrated Bakshi's mind. What is the teacher telling Bakshi? There is no one but you. The dacoit has gone forever. As for my disciple, you are my disciple. You found your way. So what is he telling him? The dacoit represented his past. And the disciple who led him here was his own light that led him there. Because everything is one. So, you found your own way. Hear me, come. His teacher's words finally penetrated Bakshi's mind. Hearing them, the burden of grief and guilt dropped from him, as a burden in a dream will drop when one fully awakes. The brahmacharin was not slain. The dacoit had disappeared. His heart, he realized, was free, pure. Simultaneously, he realized something else. With joy and wonder, he ran the rest of the distance to Lord Shiva. So the Guru was Lord Shiva. The Guru had come to him as that monk. So he ran the rest of the distance to Lord Shiva and prostrated himself at his feet. The travelers came upon Bakshi's body lying in the road. A young woman of their group gave a cry and ran to him, and kneeling down felt his heart. He is dead. He had become one. His spirit had gone to Shiva. He said to her companions. She picked up his earthen bowl. What was the earthen bowl? The begging bowl the Guru had given him. She picked up his earthen bowl. How beautiful it is. It shines as though it were made of pure gold. Yeah, because the bowl it was representative of Bakshi's journey in life. At the end of it, he had found gold of the spirit. So his bowl was like that. How beautiful it is. It shines as though it were made of pure gold. They carried Bakshi's body to the village, where it was cremated with honor by the villagers who had known him well. So this is a beautiful story which speaks of the oneness that everything is, and the fact that that oneness never gives up on anyone. Even whether you're Angulimal, and you've killed 900 plus people, whether you're Bakshi, if you have a love for God, somehow God will find a way to bring you home. There's such a beautiful line in Savitri: if the chamber's door is even a little ajar, what then can hinder God from stealing in? Or who forbid his kiss on the sleeping soul? So Bakshi was doing all kinds of things, but at night he would always remember Shiva and love Shiva. And that was that little opening in his heart. If the chamber's door is even a little ajar, what then can hinder God from stealing in? Or who forbid his kiss on the sleeping soul? So now we come back to lines from Savitri. So this is page 356. That needs no instruments and erects no form. That is the Godhead, love. In unison it grows with all that is. All contacts it assumes into its trance. Love tossed consents to the wind's kiss and takes transmutingly the shocks of sun and breeze. Shocks of sun and breeze could be the different difficulties in your life. But love is something that is laugh-tossed. Laugh-tossed consents to the wind's kiss and takes transmutingly the shocks of sun and breeze. A blissful yearning riots in its leaves. A magic passion trembles in its blooms. Its boughs aspire in hushed felicity. An occult Godhead of this beauty is cause, the spirit and intimate guest of all this charm. This sweetness is priestess and this reverie's muse. Now part 2 is dissolving jealousy into oneness. So long we've talked about oneness. So obviously you have to feel very separate from a person in order to feel jealous, right? We are not really realizing that somewhere we are all so intricately connected into one continuum. Quantum physics, I've gone into that many times, but it talks about the unified field, right? Where it says all matter is one continuum through the universe. So it's like if there's an ocean and you put a black drop of dirt at one end of the ocean, at a very infinitesimal level, that black drop will permeate the whole ocean, right? And if you put honey into the ocean, it will sweeten the whole ocean. So whenever I harm anyone, I'm putting that black drop into that ocean there. Somewhere it will come back to me. Similarly, if that end of the ocean receives honey, that honey will also come back to me. But if I'm not aware of my continuity with that other end of the ocean, I will resent that that bit of the ocean is tasting honey and I'm not getting it. But if I'm patient, that honey will come to me, it has to. So whenever somebody is getting something, instead of feeling jealous, it's about working on yourself to actually feel happy, and it's not impossible. Your whole conditioning, our whole conditioning, I'm not excluded from it, our whole conditioning is that if somebody else gets more, I'm getting less. Right from the time of kindergarten, school, there's only one first place. So if somebody else gets it, I'm not getting it. But it's not really like that. I'll give you an example of one student of mine. So but really sometimes I learn the most from my students. So she was giving her 10th standard board, ICSE board exam, and she was an above average student, and she says that so when her boards got over, I teach yoga to the 10th standard kids, she sent me a note saying thank you very much, yoga really helped me through the boards, but she didn't explain more. Then when the results came, she got a 94 point something and she came third in school, and earlier she was just above average, not even among the top 10. Then she wrote me a whole thing of what had helped her. So she said that when I was studying for the boards, I wasn't stressed like my classmates because the classmates wanted that rank. I had given up on the rank. I felt so useless that I felt anyway I won't do that well. So she started studying without that stress, and I had, like I do metta very often with all of you, the Buddhist meditation metta, which is just wishing well to everyone. So she said somewhere along the way, now this is what I hadn't told her to do it, but her own inner light spoke to her, and she said she started sending metta to all her classmates before studying, because she realized all of them were in the same boat, all were struggling with jealousy and competition and fear of failure. So they weren't on the other side, they were all part of that sea of humanity which is suffering. So she just would bring each of them to her mind and she would send them metta. And then she would study in such a good frame of mind without the pressure of needing to outshine anyone, that somehow the best intelligence came out in her and she actually started enjoying studying. So this is a beautiful example of when you help the whole helps you. If you try to hurt the whole will hurt you. It's the law of life. And in hurting a piece of the whole, you're hurting the whole. When you have even a thought of ill will towards anyone, you're hurting the whole. If you hurt the whole will hurt you. If you help the whole will help you. And this is a classic example of it. Because she was helping the whole every day, the whole helped her. She came like not in her wildest dreams that she thought she'd do so well. So that is the whole thing. Instead of feeding that jealousy, And when you feed that jealousy, the jealousy will create enemies where there are none, right? For example, you could be jealous because I want her attention and she's giving attention to her. So I'm seeing, suppose I want Rajul's attention and Rajul is giving attention to Prarthana. Then I resent Rajul also, because why aren't you giving me the attention I want? I make Rajul into an enemy. I make Prarthana into an enemy because Prarthana is getting the attention I want. But they are really not my enemies. They are just playing out the affection they have for each other, which every human being has a right to, right? To express affection. Nobody is my enemy. It's just a natural unfolding of life. So firstly, I have to recognize that there are no enemies there. I am finding reasons to dislike Rajul, I am finding reasons to dislike Prarthana because of my jealousy. There actually most often will not be anything wrong with either of them, but I'll demonize them because I want to justify my jealousy. So first step is acknowledge that you're jealous, and it's okay to be jealous. But it's not okay to become a prisoner of the jealousy. It's not okay to let the jealousy control you unconsciously. So bring consciousness to it. Recognize that I'm demonizing them. They aren't really demons. I'm making them demons to justify my jealousy. And then use them as role models. If Prarthana has a quality which is bringing out the affection in Rajul, let me role model Prarthana. Let me use her as an inspiration. Is she very kind and compassionate and inclusive, which attracts Rajul to her? Can I grow into that? Whatever. You're jealous of someone because you have the potential to grow into that, no? If you didn't have the potential, you won't be jealous of an Olympic runner who comes first, because it's not in you to run. But if you're jealous of somebody, be sure you have the potential to be like that person. So use that jealousy as a stepping stone rather than something to use as a weapon, because every weapon you raise on another, you're raising on yourself. It's the law of life. So don't be controlled by the jealousy, bring consciousness to it. And the Buddha has coined a beautiful phrase, mudita, joy in the success or virtue of another. So long, just till now we have conditioned ourselves to resent the virtue or success of another, but we can work hard at conditioning the opposite into us, mudita, into ourselves towards another. We'll work on this more towards the end of class. Now there's this beautiful poem by Sri Aurobindo called The One Self. All are deceived, do what the one power dictates. Yet each thinks his own will, his nature moves. Each of us thinks that our will is moving our nature. But Krishna says, no, that everyone is being controlled by my will. Not even a leaf falls from the tree to the ground without the divine will. So all are deceived to do what the one power dictates. Yet each thinks his own will, his nature moves. The hater knows not, 'tis himself he hates. When I hate someone, I'm not recognizing that I'm hating myself, because that person is myself. The hater knows not, 'tis himself he hates. The lover knows not, 'tis himself he loves. All love is a yearning of the one for the one. The lover knows not, 'tis himself he loves. In all is one being, many bodies bear. Here Krishna flutes upon the forest mood. Here Shiva sits ash smeared with matted hair. But Shiva and Krishna are the single God. In us too Krishna seeks for love and joy. So we are Krishna, we are Shiva. In us too Krishna seeks for love and joy. In us too Shiva struggles with the world's grief. One self in all of us endures annoy. cries in his pain and asks his fate's relief. My rival's downfall is my own disgrace. I look at my enemy and see Krishna's face. So beautiful, no? I mean, his sonnets, you should pick up his sonnets. They are available here. This is from there. All his sonnets are mind-blowing. So I'll read this again. All are deceived to do what the one power dictates. Yet each thinks his own will, his nature moves. The hater knows not, 'tis himself he hates. The lover knows not, 'tis himself he loves. In all is one being, many bodies bear. Here Krishna flutes upon the forest mood. Here Shiva sits ash smeared with matted hair. But Shiva and Krishna are the single God. In us too Krishna seeks for love and joy. In us too Shiva struggles with the world's grief. One self in all of us endures annoy, cries in his pain and asks his fate's relief. My rival's downfall is my own disgrace. I look at my enemy and see Krishna's face. So let's do a little meditation to work on jealousy and convert it to its opposite, which is mudita. So sit tall, shut your eyes and gently touch the center of your chest with your right hand. Right hand first, left palm over it. And go an inch behind where your palms touch your chest to where the Mother's presence dwells within each one of us. What we loosely call the heart center in yoga, nothing to do with the physical organ heart. First bring her image into your heart and wait till it becomes a living image. It becomes a living image when the body responds to it with tingling or goose flesh. When you're feeling that image as something tactile in your body, then it becomes a living image. So wait till that happens, and whenever it does, relax your hands. Stay concentrated on that image as you breathe in, as you breathe out. Beautiful line in Savitri. Our self shall be one self with all through her. She is the golden bridge, the wonderful fire. The luminous heart of the unknown is she, a power of silence in the depths of God. So connecting with her, now bring to mind the person you're resentful of or jealous of, and repeat this line as you feel Mother's presence in your heart. Our self shall be one self with all through her. A few times. Mother's image in your heart, the person across you, and repeating, our self will be one with all through her. And then see Mother smiling in this person's heart also. If Mother is everything and everyone, then she's in this person's heart also. Recollect this line, my rival's downfall is my own disgrace. I look at my enemy and see Krishna's face, Mother's face. And dissolve the jealousy into the oneness of love. Seeing her as Mother or him as Mother, the person I'm jealous of. Soften your heart and send metta to this person, M-E-T-T-A, metta. As I say these lines aloud and I pause, say them soundlessly in your heart. May you be well to the person who I'm jealous of, seeing Mother in that person's heart and my heart. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be free. 4 sentences ending in well, happy, peaceful and free. So just a minute more on your own. Seeing Mother in your heart and in that person's heart. Our self shall be one self with all through her. Our self shall be one self with all through her. And one last time, sending metta to that person. And not to say this will wipe out jealousy, but we've worked very hard to create the samskar of jealousy in us. If we want to erase it, we'll have to work equally hard. Every time jealousy comes up, first of all recognize that you're jealous. Then recognize that jealousy makes you create enemies. Whoever you're jealous of, you'll see as an enemy. You'll demonize that person. Recognize this and stop making the person evil or bad in your head. Remind yourself nothing wrong with the person. The wrong is with the jealousy I feel. My enemy is not the person, my enemy is jealousy. That's what I need to fight. And then again repeat this process. See Mother in your heart. See Mother in that person's heart. Repeat this line, our self shall be one self with all through her. And send metta to that person. You won't want to, but do it anyway. If the jealousy is very strong, you won't want to, but force yourself to do it. Say it again and again, the lines of metta, till you feel them. Little by little, encourage yourself to be happy for the person rather than jealous, or at least neutral to begin with. Now slowly fold your hands together in a namaste. just remember, the moment you actually feel happy for the person you're jealous of, you're helping the whole, and the whole will help you. When you feed jealousy, you're harming the whole, even with thoughts, WHOLE. And when you harm the whole harms you. So you're paving the way for good things to come your way every time you change jealousy into goodwill. Take a long, slow inhalation. Breathe out with Om.